I didn't do it all by myself. Had a lot of help from a lot of amazing volunteers. My name is Lori Compas. I live in Fort Atkinson with my husband, Eric, my 2 kids, Tom and Anna. My daughter, Anna, is here with me today. Our dog, Sadie. And I'm running against Scott Fitzgerald in the upcoming. We're here today to talk about money and politics, and I'd like to give you my perspective on that topic as a newcomer to the political scene. I'd like to tell you about a couple of ways this new campaign finance reality is influencing my own campaign. And first off, just to give you the lay of the land, I don't think you'll find a greater contrast anywhere than the one between my opponent and me. But I'm talking about money and everything else. Scott Fitzgerald has had unlimited fundraising capabilities since the day I filed the papers for the recall petition on November 15th of 2011. The day after I announced my candidacy for the race, I visited with a group of teachers in our town. They were having a little meeting in the bowling alley and everybody had brought their kids. It was kind of a family thing. So I was doing that the day after I announced. At the very same moment, Scott Fitzgerald was in Washington, D.C. hosting a fundraiser that cost $1,000 a person just to walk in the door. So he has more money than I do. That's a given. That's to be expected. But what I didn't expect were the unseen ways that money is already coming into play in this race. On both sides, as John alluded to, there are people working for me, I think, maybe, but I don't know. And then there's also people working against me. And I doubt that's a surprise to political insiders, but I've certainly got an education in this over the past couple of weeks. A few days ago, I was out knocking on doors in Lake Mills, talking with people who live and work here in the district, and I came home to report that a firm in Texas had been conducting a push poll against me all evening. In my inbox was this email from a supporter, quote, "He was cleverly twisting your positions to make you sound really awful. After his 3rd manipulation, I was so disgusted. I told him that his survey was the most underhanded, untruthful, disgusting political maneuver I'd ever heard, and hung up." So, that's what was happening while I was out knocking doors. And as I got more reports of that same call going out, I got more details, and I realized that they weren't really conducting a push poll. They were actually trying to fine-tune their negative message. They were saying, would you be less supportive of Lori if you knew she had been at the protests in Madison? How much less supportive would you be? You know, so always up until now, I had realized, I knew that it cost money to buy TV ads, but I had never thought about all the work that goes into the creation of those. And so I had never really thought about how money can help a candidate delve into the psychology of the constituents in a particular area. So that was kind of a rude awakening. And the rude thing about these calls is that it ties into something that John alluded to, and that's the idea of independent expenditures. And I really don't know who was making those calls on Scott Fitzgerald's behalf. Maybe it was his campaign, maybe his campaign arranged it and paid for it, or maybe another group did. A group that can raise and spend as much money as it wants. A group that's required by law to work independently of a candidate and a campaign. And frankly, I don't know a whole lot about this independent expenditure thing. All I know is that there's a kind of an invisible wall between the candidates on one side and the groups that are raising and spending all this money on the other. I think we can safely say that some of those groups are working for Scott Fitzgerald, and some of them might be working for me, or on my side, sort of, except on the other side of the wall. I'm running a campaign that really emphasizes direct voter contact, neighbors talking to neighbors, friends talking to friends, and I'm relying really heavily on this amazing grassroots network that sprang up as a result of the petition drive. Now, voters or volunteers can move freely across that invisible wall, from my side to the independent expenditure side. But we candidates can't talk to that side, we can't plan with that side, we can't ask anything of people on that side. And the whole thing makes me so nervous that I've just told everybody, don't even tell me anything that you might be doing over on the other side. And so, you know, running my first campaign for office would be difficult enough without this bizarre situation happening. I don't know what these groups are or if they're helping me now, if they will in the future. I don't know what they're doing with the volunteers. I can't control what they say in ads. I'm telling the volunteers that we all need to dress nicely and act professionally. When we're out knocking on doors for my campaign, I tell them that we absolutely will not engage in personal attacks, name calling, none of that. I remind them that we need to demonstrate every day that our words and actions, we need to demonstrate through our words and actions that we stand for a return to Wisconsin's best traditions of open government, civility, and a bipartisan commitment to progress. But how do I know what other people, even people who want me to win just as badly as I want to win, how do I know what they're asking the volunteers to do and what they're telling the volunteers to say? How do I keep the volunteers from getting burned out from too many requests on their time? I don't expect any answers today, and I've resigned myself to the fact that we'll all simply have to learn as we go. I appreciate Mike McCabe's ideas about running a low-budget, high-impact campaign, and that's part of what we're hoping to do. But all of this is evidence of a system that's become so complex and so convoluted that it isn't working for the vast majority of people anymore. What we're caught up in now is a political process that's bought and paid for by big money, and it's not working. If we want to return to civility in our political process, we have to start by reforming how we run and finance our campaigns. And over the next couple of years, I want to help change our current system into one that favors people over money and power. And can I even mention my website? Like, I don't know if that's legal. If you would like to be a part of this historic effort, you can go to my website at loricompas.org to donate your time and, yes, your money, because even though we'll never raise as much as Scott Fitzgerald has, we're going to need money because this is the reality in which we find ourselves. Thanks for your time, and I hope to see you out on the campaign trail.